Barbara Lee joins us now. And Congresswoman, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You've been very critical of the effectiveness of the war against ISIS. You, as many remember, were the person who filed that lone dissenting vote in the 2001 authorization of the use of military force. I want to kind of go through this check by check. And when you are critical of the U.S.'s attempt to tamp down, to eliminate ISIS, is it a lack of resources, or is it an ineffective strategy from your perspective?
I believe that we need a more comprehensive strategy to really begin to degrade and dismantle ISIL. One, the military option is always there, and we recognize that. And of course, our first job is to keep Americans and our country safe. And having said that, we have to look at how we can broaden the strategy to make sure the region is leading it, to ensure that we do not allow for the insertion of American troops, ground troops, in this civil war and in this terrible war that's taking place in the region, but also how we can support a regional effort to look at a diplomatic and political settlement long term. Because when you look at, and you cited the 2001 resolution to use force, that resolution, unfortunately, and the one that authorized the use of force, the military war against Iraq, those are still being used now in terms of the U.S. mission in this new war. And so minimally, we need to have a debate in Congress, which is what I am saying and many others are saying now. And we need to put forth a new authorization which would set forth what, in fact, the American people and Congress deems necessary to really begin to dismantle and discredit ISIS.
The president sent over a draft resolution back in February of 2015. Others have made proposals. How far do you think Congress is from simply declaring war against ISIS, or do you think that that it will happen this session?
The president was correct when he sent over an authorization. Unfortunately, the speaker just sat on it. That resolution went nowhere. Many of us have written to former Speaker Boehner, have communicated with our current Speaker Ryan to say, and this is bipartisan, to say it's our constitutional responsibility to have a debate and to really allow the American people a voice in how to begin to really address this very terrible terrorist organization and what is taking place in the Middle East. Now we see some movement. Members are beginning to talk about it. The Speaker is making public comments. He's saying some public, I think, sending some signals publicly that he may be considering allowing a resolution, an authorization to use force to come to the floor. But I think it's very important that we continue to hear the voices and really listen to the voices of the American people and know that they want to have a say in how we are addressing this very terrible terrorist organization. And so I'm more hopeful today than I was last year. But once again, we have to make sure whatever authorization comes forward, that it's an authorization that is specific, that is not as broad as the one that I voted against. That was a blank check in 2001. It's still being used, unfortunately, as the legal basis for this new war. This is 14, 15 years later. It's been used over 30-some times. And so hopefully what we're hearing now, it means that at least there's a bipartisan effort to begin to be real about this and to make sure that we do our job as members of Congress.
All right, California Congresswoman Barbara Lee, thank you for your time.
Thank you, my pleasure.